fronts in this community, whether it's on the financial restructuring front, the sharing of services front, where our community in Chautauqua County are viewed across the state as a trailblazer and a leader in that capacity. We can certainly all see before our own eyes the trails that we've been blazing in the downtown area. Matt Hanley, my assistant, Matt over here, give Matt a round of applause too. I never recognized Matt enough in public. And I totally ignore him in private, but in public I gotta look at him every now and then. But Matt and Leanne Jordan really run the city of Jamestown, along with the great department heads we have and the 450 staff members. But Matt's been walking around handing out, they're all out. What we're going to do is we're going to direct you to the Jamestown City Government website, jamestowny.net, where you'll be able to get a copy of the handout if you don't have it, as well as my Facebook page, Mayor Teresa, and you can pick that up. But there is a piece of the handout that talks about $232 million and counting of public, private, and not-for-profit philanthropic development investment in the city's central business district alone in recent years. And as my late father used to say, it's not just about what you do, but how you do it. And the how in this case is even more important than the what and the why. The how that we've been doing it here in Jamestown is everybody pulling together, whether we're Democrats or Republicans or whatever our ethnic background is and our religious beliefs. We pull together as Jamestowners and figure out ways to get things done that a small city of 35,000 people in the heart of a region of 70,000 can't even dream about getting done. And it's about the government at different levels, the local government, the state government, the help that we receive at the federal level, the private sector coming together and obviously anteing up big time with their private investment and taking the risk that they are built to do, and they do so well in this community. But there's another piece that's been introduced into play here over the past 10 to 15 years, and that's our riches that we have in this community in the form of philanthropic organizations. Whether it be private, small little service clubs in the community, all the way up to our largest philanthropic foundations. They've really stepped up to the plate and said economic development, and particularly saving the core of the city, is a priority. And putting their money where their mouth is, and on the chart that we've left you, I can tell you in every one of those instances, we have been clicking on all cylinders. Local government, state government. We couldn't be anywhere near where we're at today, particularly with this project, but on everything that's been happening without the state of New York. We all like to at times carp about the state, about this or that or the other thing. But let me tell you something. There's more that's good and right about the Empire State than what could possibly ever be wrong. And they are there for us now. They've been for us in the past. And no pressure, Commissioner and Senator, I know they'll be there for us in the future. Let's give a round of applause to our partners at all levels. I'm going to apologize right here, right now, because in a large dispersed crowd like this, where people are not grouped together, I am going to miss somebody. Being an MC of a dedication event like this is the worst task that you can give to anybody, particularly somebody who's got to stand for election once every 4 years, because you wind up ticking off somebody in the process. But I know that there's several members of our city council right here. Could I please ask you all to raise your hands, members? Keep them raised so that I can see you. Just going through the crowd here, I see First Ward councilmen, and hold your applause for all of them till the end, or maybe even till election next year. But this is not constituting an endorsement of anybody, just an acknowledgement. Brett Sheldon, First Ward councilman, Kim Eklund, councilwoman at large, Andy Liuzzo, councilman at large. Who else is here? Am I missing anybody? Okay, Kim, you can put your arm down now. So. I have to tell you, and I've said this all around the state, and I say it publicly here all the time, in my 18 and a half years as mayor, I have been blessed with wonderful people on the Jamestown City Council. We all may get elected as Democrats and Republicans, but the minute that the election results are in, and we get in that room working together, people have difference of opinions. Sometimes we disagree on things, we even argue on things once in a while, but everybody in the executive and the legislative branch here in the city of Jamestown become and work as Jamestowners, not as Democrats and Republicans. And I pray to see the day at all levels of government that these folks around the country can follow the Jamestown model. I'm very fortunate to have wonderful people on the Jamestown City Council, because the things that we're doing here and have been doing here and will be doing here in the future couldn't be possible without our citizen, largely volunteer legislators. We have several members of city boards and commissions here. We have members from the city's Parks Commission, Riverfront Management Council, Board of Public Utilities. Who else is here today? Jamestown Local Development Corporation, Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. If you're a member of a city board and commission, please raise your hand and be recognized. And let's give them all a round of applause. As I said before, we're opening up 2 bridges today, but we're celebrating 7 bridges that are in a short walking distance right here in the heart of the city. And let's see if I can call them out by memory. The first one is the Sprague Street Bridge. If you follow Steel Street on the other side of the river, the other side of our Board of Public Utilities complex, Steel Street goes along, hits Sprague Street. There's a bridge that takes you into downtown Jamestown that crosses the Chattacoin River. Commissioner, we have to, per capita and by water amount, have more bridges than anybody in the world. And while I'm at it, let me thank Chautauqua County government. Where's George Spanos here? George, our Director of Public Facilities. Our County Executive, George Borello, sends his regrets. Other business took him away today, but we have members of the county legislature here with us today. Elizabeth Rankin is back there. I think that Paul Whitford is either in the crowd or on his way. Haven't seen Dave Wilfong and haven't seen Chuck Mazzaro, but give them all a round of applause. And George Spanos is here representing our county executive, George Borello. George, am I allowed to say it publicly? George is retiring. Let's do an ah. Small guy, his wife Marianne, yay! Who actually, Marianne is also a high-ranking county official, our senior citizens advocate and director. Let's give Marianne Spanos a round of applause. I'm not going to introduce your family that's with you, but George does a terrific job, and he is going to be sorely missed here in the city of Jamestown. The county has been a tremendous partner with us, not only on the riverfront development, doing things, helping us behind the scenes in some cases, and out there in the front with crane work and other type of things, but my Director of Public Works, Jeff Lehman, has a terrific working relationship with George and his wonderful crew. And George, we're going to miss you. George will be doing extra time at the Yasu Festival now that he doesn't have these duties. You're not going to run out of rice pudding next year, right, at the Yasu Festival, or baklava as you did this year. Just calling you out in public for what it is, George. But George does a great job, and we're appreciative. We're going to miss him, and whoever comes into that role is going to have huge shoes to fill. Jeff, I got a question for you. Jeff Lehman, our Director of Public Works. Give him a round of applause, too. Jeff, are these bridges over 20 feet in length?
Pretty sure, George.
Let's give a round of applause to the County of Chautauqua that has the legal responsibility now to maintain these bridges moving forward. And while we're at it, we have a former county executive here with us today, and Mark Thomas. And I want to thank Mark Thomas for a couple of things. Mark Thomas was the county executive back in the early 2000s that made the agreement with the city of Jamestown and all of the municipalities around the county to take over primary responsibility for maintenance of all bridges over 20 feet in length. Thank you, Mark, for setting the groundwork to take over the maintenance of these bridges going forward. Mark is a very good friend, dating back to the time before he was county executive. He did an outstanding job for 8 years as our county executive. Mark's fingerprints are all over great things in this county. And furthermore, then went to the state government and served as our Western Region District Director of the State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. And I have to tell you a quick little Mark Thomas story here. Back when we were conceiving the notion of this Riverwalk dream here in Jamestown, Mark was county executive. And he and I went out to lunch one day. I think we were at the Old Town Club at the time. And Mark's actual training, education and training, is in parks design and administration, and University of Illinois, right? And said, are we nuts? I mean, we've got a river that even with my rag arm, I can still throw a baseball over. Are we crazy of embarking on this? And he said, absolutely not. He said, it is one of the most important things that you can do from not only a public health standpoint, a transportation standpoint, a recreation standpoint, and an environmental standpoint, but this is economic development. Economic development. Because you're improving the quality of life in the community. And most businesses today are making locational decisions as to where they want to invest and retain employment and open up new operations based upon the fact of where the decision makers in those companies want to be themselves. And if the place isn't worth living in, you're not going to be able to attract businesses. And the other factor that they're looking at is to where they think they can. The river's not on fire as it was in Cleveland back in the 1970s, I'm quite sure. But where they think they can attract high quality people. Go for it, Mayor, go for it. And we did with our council, our Parks Commission, the foundations, and so forth. And I held Mark to that when he became Regional District Director. And Mark in the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation have been a partner, maybe not on this particular project, but you will see their signs and fingerprints all over the rest of the Riverwalk throughout the city. So, Mark Thomas, thank you for being here today, and let's give my good friend Mark a round of applause. We have Kathy Young here with us today. Kathy is by far, my favorite 57th District Senate member in New York State.
Thank you. I'm the only one.
And also